The gunman's finger tightened on the trigger. 3 more seconds and Jae-Min Kwon would step through that door. 2 seconds and Seoul's most feared mafia boss would be dead. 1 second and, "Sir, please, be quiet." The whisper came from behind him, soft as silk, urgent as a scream. In exactly 7 seconds, the most feared man in Seoul would have been dead. His wife had already chosen the flowers for his funeral. His cousin had already divided his empire. The gunmen were already in position. But then a maid whispered for words that changed everything. This is the story of the night a $2 billion mafia boss discovered that the most dangerous person in his mansion wasn't the one holding a gun. It was the one sharing his bed. And the only person he could trust? A woman he'd never truly seen. Jae-Min Kwon didn't become the king of Seoul's underworld by trusting his feelings. He built his empire on calculated violence, strategic alliances, and the kind of fear that made police commissioners stutter when he called. At 42 years old, he controlled the ports where 80% of Korea's gray market goods flowed through. He owned 17 legitimate businesses and 37 that operated in the shadows. Politicians returned his calls within minutes. Judges knew which cases to dismiss. Even rival families had learned that challenging Kwon meant choosing death. But power, Jae-Min had learned, was the loneliest throne in the world. His mansion in Gangnam sat behind walls topped with cameras that never blinked. Inside, Italian marble covered floors that echoed with emptiness. His wife Yura moved through the halls like a ghost draped in Chanel, beautiful and distant, speaking to him only when necessary. Their marriage had been strategic from the start, a merger of 2 powerful families. She brought political connections. He brought muscle and money. Love had never been part of the transaction. Tonight should have been like every other night. Jae-Min sat in a private room at his club in Incheon, reviewing shipping manifests with his logistics chief. Numbers flowed across the table. Container codes, delivery schedules, profit margins that would make legitimate businessmen weep with envy. Everything ran like clockwork. Then his phone went dark. Not dead. Dark. The screen simply refused to light up. Jae-Min pressed the power button once, twice. Nothing. He picked up the backup phone he always carried. Same thing. Dead black glass staring back at him. His logistics chief kept talking, oblivious. But Jae-Min's attention had shifted entirely. In 20 years of this life, equipment didn't just fail. Not his equipment. Not both phones simultaneously. He stood abruptly. "We're done for tonight." "But sir, the Thursday shipment. Handle it." Jae-Min walked out of the club, bypassing his usual security team. His driver stood by the black Mercedes, but Jae-Min waved him off. "I'm driving myself." The man's eyebrows rose a fraction. In 5 years of service, he'd never driven himself anywhere. "Sir, go home. I'll see you tomorrow." Jae-Min slid behind the wheel and pulled into Seoul's neon-drenched streets. He couldn't explain the feeling crawling up his spine. It wasn't panic. He'd been shot at too many times to panic. It was something quieter. A whisper in his blood that said, "Something is wrong at home." The drive took 18 minutes. Every traffic light felt like an interrogation. Every pedestrian crossing seemed designed to test his patience. When he finally turned onto his private street, the mansion looked exactly as it always did. Lit windows, manicured gardens, security cameras sweeping their programmed arcs. Normal. Perfectly normal. So why did his hand instinctively check the gun under his jacket? Jae-Min parked in the side garage, not the main entrance. Another deviation from routine. He entered through a service door that led to the east wing, a route he rarely used. The hallway stretched ahead, silent except for the whisper of air conditioning. His Italian leather shoes made no sound on the Persian runner. He moved toward the main house, toward the wing where Yura's private suite dominated the second floor. They'd stopped sharing a bedroom 3 years ago. Another business decision. She needed her space. He needed his. Marriage as coexistence. As he approached the grand staircase, he heard it. Laughter. A woman's voice, light and musical, drifting down from above. Yura's voice. He'd heard her laugh maybe 5 times in 8 years of marriage. Never like this. never with such genuine joy. Jae-Min climbed the stairs, each step deliberate. At the top, the hallway stretched toward Yura's suite. The double doors were closed, but light spilled underneath. More laughter. Then a man's voice, low and familiar. His cousin Min-soo. Jae-Min's jaw tightened. Min-soo had been at the club earlier, claimed he had family business to attend to. What family business brought him here to Yura's suite at 11 at night? He moved forward, hand already reaching for the door handle. That's when the whisper came. Sir. Please. Be quiet. Jae-Min spun, his gun halfway out of its holster before he registered who stood behind him. Rose. The maid. She pressed herself against the wall, her dark skin almost invisible in the shadows, her eyes wide with something that looked like terror. What? He began, but she shook her head frantically, pressing a finger to her lips. Her hands were trembling so violently he could see it from 3 feet away. She gestured urgently toward a side door, the entrance to a storage closet. Jae-Min's instincts screamed at him to demand answers, but something in her expression stopped him. He'd seen fear before. This was different. This was the fear of someone watching death arrive. He followed her into the closet. She closed the door with aching slowness, leaving only a crack. In the darkness, he could smell cleaning supplies and her fear, sharp as vinegar. Talk, he whispered. Now. Rose's voice came out in fragments, each word fighting through her terror. Sir, I was cleaning the guest rooms, the one next to Madame's suite. I heard them talking. Your wife and your cousin. So? Their family. No, sir. Please, listen. She swallowed hard. They were talking about tonight. About it being the end. About how the cameras would show nothing. About how the police were already paid. Jae-Min's blood went cold. What else? I heard guns. Being loaded. Being checked. And Madame, she was laughing. She said, by midnight we'll be free. You're certain? Sir, I swear on my life. And there's more. Rose pulled out her phone, hand still shaking so badly she nearly dropped it. She pulled up the security camera app, one of the staff monitoring systems. She'd somehow accessed a feed from the hallway junction beyond Yura's suite. The screen showed 3 men, armed, military-grade weapons. They stood in the alcove past Yura's doors, invisible from the main hallway, waiting. If you'd opened that door, Rose whispered, the signal would have gone to them. They would have come from behind. You'd never see it coming. Jae-Min stared at the screen. Professional positioning, clean sight lines, an execution setup. And he'd been seconds from walking straight into it. Why? The word came out harder than he intended. Why warn me? Rose's eyes filled with tears. Your mother, sir. 10 years ago I was trafficked to Seoul. 15 years old. No papers. No hope. Your mother found me at one of your father's warehouses. She could have looked away. Everyone else did. But she didn't. She got me papers. Got me medical care. Gave me a job. Saved my life. Jae-Min barely remembered. His mother had died 7 years ago. He'd been too busy building his empire to notice her small acts of mercy. I owe your family everything, Rose continued. When I heard them planning this, I knew warning you might get me killed. But I couldn't let them murder the son of the woman who saved me. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. Outside the closet, footsteps approached. Jae-Min tensed, but they passed by. Someone going to bed. Normal household movements. Perfect cover for murder. How long have they been planning this? He asked. I don't know, sir, but I heard your cousin say, 3 months of preparation, and tonight it finally happens. 3 months. While Jae-Min had been managing ports and bribing politicians, his wife and cousin had been orchestrating his death. The betrayal should have hurt. Instead, he felt only cold calculation settling over him like armor. The men in the hallway, he said. They're waiting for a signal? Yes, sir. When Madame opens the door wide, that's when they move. Jae-Min pulled out his backup phone. Still dead. He took Rose's phone instead and made one call. speaking in rapid code to his second-in-command. When he finished, he looked at the woman who'd just saved his life. "You need to disappear. Tonight. Right now." "Sir, That wasn't a request. If they discover you warned me, they'll kill you slowly to make an example. I'm putting $10,000 in cash and a plane ticket in your room. There's a car waiting at the back gate. Go to the Philippines. I have people there who'll hide you." "But sir, what will you do?" Jae-Min's smile was cold enough to frost glass. "I'm going to do what I do best. I'm going to remind everyone in this house exactly who I am." He left the closet first, moving with the same casual gait he always used. Anyone watching the cameras would see nothing unusual, just the boss wandering his own house. He went downstairs, poured himself a scotch in his study, and sat in the leather chair that had witnessed 1,000 brutal decisions. Then he waited. 20 minutes later, Yura descended the stairs, wrapped in a silk robe, her hair slightly mussed. She froze when she saw him. "Jae-Min, you're home early." Meeting ended sooner than expected. He studied her over the rim of his glass. Beautiful, elegant, a perfect mask over a scorpion's heart. "You're up late. Couldn't sleep." She moved to the bar, poured wine with steady hands. A professional liar. "How was your day?" "Productive." He let the word hang in the air like a knife. "You?" "Quiet. I had dinner with your cousin earlier. He stopped by to discuss the charity auction next month." How thoughtful of him. They could have been discussing the weather. Two actors performing a script they'd rehearsed for years. She sat across from him, legs crossed, wine glass catching the lamplight. If he hadn't known, he never would have guessed. That's what made it so perfect. So deadly. "You look tired," Yura said, concern in her voice, perfectly calibrated. "Perhaps you should get some rest." "Perhaps." But he didn't move. "Yura, do you remember our wedding?" Her eyebrows rose slightly. "Of course." "Why?" "I was just thinking about the vows. For better or worse. In sickness and in health. Until death do us part." He took another sip. "Death is such a final thing, isn't it?" Something flickered behind her eyes. Just for a second. Then the mask returned. "You're being philosophical tonight. I've been thinking about loyalty lately, about who we can trust. In this life, trust is everything. Betray that trust." He shrugged. "Well, you know what happens." "Yes," she said softly. "I know exactly what happens." They finished their drinks in silence. When Yura stood to leave, Jae-Min remained seated. "Sleep well," he told her. "You too." As soon as she left, Jae-Min made 7 more calls. Each one brief. Each one unleashing a different piece of his countermove. By dawn, 23 people would be in position. Bank accounts would be frozen. Communication channels would be severed. The trap his wife had spent 3 months building would become her cage. But first, he had to stay alive until dawn. The next 3 days were a masterclass in psychological warfare. Jae-Min went about his business as if nothing had changed. He attended meetings, reviewed shipments, had dinner with Yura twice, sitting across from her and discussing mundane topics while her eyes searched his face for any sign that he knew. He gave her nothing. Behind the scenes, his people worked like silent surgeons. They traced Min-Soo's communications, finding a network of bribed officials, hired guns, and offshore accounts. They tracked Yura's movements, discovering she'd been meeting with Min-Soo for over a year, not just planning murder, an affair. She'd been sleeping with his cousin while scheduling his execution. The irony would have been funny if it weren't so pathetic. On the 4th night, Jae-Min found Rose still in the house. She should have been in Manila by now, but she'd refused to leave. When he confronted her in the kitchen at 2 in the morning, she was preparing tea with the same trembling hands. "I told you to leave." "I know, sir." "Then why are you still here?" She set down the teapot, finally meeting his eyes. "Because if I run, they'll know someone warned you. They'll search for who it was. And if they find out it was me..." She shook her head. "The safer to stay. To act normal." Jae-Min wanted to argue, but she was right. Her sudden disappearance would raise questions. "You're brave. Or stupid. I haven't decided which. Maybe both, sir. For the first time in days he almost smiled. Make 2 cups of that tea. They sat in the kitchen, an unlikely pair. The Mafia king and the maid. She asked him questions about his mother, hungry for memories of the woman who'd saved her. He found himself talking about things he'd buried years ago. His mother's gentleness in a world of violence. Her insistence that power meant nothing without mercy. She saw people, Rose said quietly. Really saw them. Not just what they could do for her. Yes, she did. You're like her, sir. More than you know. Jae-Min laughed, bitter as burnt coffee. I've killed 17 men with my own hands. I've ordered executions. Destroyed families. There's nothing of my mother left in me. Then why am I still alive? Rose asked. I'm a witness. I know your secrets. By your own rules, I should already be dead. But you didn't kill me. You tried to save me. He had no answer for that. Over the following week, an odd friendship formed. Late nights in the kitchen became routine. Jae-Min would finish his deadly chess game with Yura and Min-soo, then find Rose in the quiet spaces of the house. They talked about everything and nothing. She told him about Nigeria, about the family she'd left behind, about dreams of one day going home. He told her about the loneliness of power, about being surrounded by people who feared or wanted something from him. Do you love her? Rose asked one night. Your wife. I don't think I ever did. It was always business. That's sad, sir. It's practical. It's still sad. Jae-Min realized something shocking. Rose was the first person in years who'd spoken to him without an agenda. No fear. No greed. Just honest conversation. It was the most dangerous thing anyone had done to him, because it made him remember what it felt like to be human. On the 10th day, Yura made her move. She approached him in his study, wearing the black dress he'd always found striking. Her smile was perfect. Her voice was honey. Jae-Min, I was thinking, we never spend time alone anymore. What if we had a private dinner? Just the 2 of us. Tomorrow night. No business. No phones. Just us. This was it. The final play. Intimate dinner. Lowered guard. And somewhere between courses, the door would open and death would walk in. That sounds lovely, he said. I'd like that. Her smile widened. Genuine relief in her eyes. She thought she'd won. Wonderful. I'll have the chef prepare something special. I'm looking forward to it. After she left, Jae-Min made the final calls. Tomorrow night would be the end. Just not the end she expected. He found Rose in the laundry room. When he told her about the dinner, the blood drained from her face. Sir, you can't. It's a trap. I know. Then why? Because it's time to end this. I've given you new papers. A new identity. A car will be waiting at the service gate at 9 tomorrow night. You'll have a 2-hour head start before anything happens. Sir, I don't want to leave. The words hung between them. Jae-Min realized with quiet shock that he didn't want her to leave either. In 10 days, this woman had become the only real thing in his life. The only person who saw him instead of his empire. You have to, he said gently. What happens tomorrow? You can't be here for it. Will you be safe? I'm always safe. She didn't believe him. Neither did he. But some lies were necessary. The next day crawled by like a wounded animal. Jae-Min handled business with mechanical precision. Yura was radiant, practically glowing with anticipation. Min-soo called twice, his voice dripping with false concern. Taking care of my favorite cousin, he said. Jae-Min wanted to reach through the phone and tear his throat out. Soon. At 6 o'clock, he checked his watch. 3 hours. He walked through the mansion one final time, memorizing details. Despite everything, this had been his home. The place where his empire was born. After tonight, nothing would ever be the same. At 7, the staff was dismissed early. Yura's orders. Only essential personnel. The chef. 1 server. And Rose, who Yura specifically requested to help serve. Jae-Min's blood went cold when he heard. They'd noticed Rose's closeness to him. She was part of the plan now. A loose end to be tied up. He found her in the kitchen, pale as moonlight. Sir, Madam wants me to serve the dinner. I know. Change of plans. At 8:30, there will be a fire alarm. Small fire in the East Wing storage room. Nothing serious, but it will require evacuation. You leave then. Don't come back. But that's an order, Rose. She nodded, tears in her eyes. Sir, thank you for everything. Thank my mother. She's the one who taught me that some people are worth saving. At 8 o'clock, Jae-Min dressed in his best suit. Black Armani, white shirt, no tie. He checked his reflection. The king preparing for battle. Or a funeral. Maybe both. The dining room had been transformed. Candles everywhere. The long table shortened to intimate. 2 chairs facing each other. Wine already poured. The chef had prepared bulgogi, japshi, and 3 other dishes. It looked romantic. Perfect. A last meal for a condemned man. Yura entered in red silk. Her hair swept up, diamonds at her throat. She was breathtaking. She was a viper in designer clothing. You look beautiful, Jae-Min said, meaning it. You look handsome. She sat across from him, raising her wine glass. To us. To us. They ate. The food was exquisite. The conversation was light. They talked about nothing important. The weather, a movie she'd seen, his plans for expanding the port operations. 2 people who'd once promised forever, now counting the minutes until one of them died. At 8:45, the fire alarm shrieked through the house. Yura jumped, perfectly startled. What's that? Fire alarm. Jae-Min remained seated. Probably nothing. They're overly sensitive. The chef rushed in. Sir, Madam, there's a small fire in the East Wing. We need to evacuate. We should go, Yura said, standing. Let them handle it, Jae-Min said calmly. We're safe here. Through the window, he saw Rose leaving through the garden gate. Safe. She was safe. One person, at least, would survive this night. At 9 o'clock, Yura's phone buzzed. She glanced at it, and something in her expression shifted. Just slightly. Jae-Min, I need to use the restroom. I'll be right back. Of course. She left. Jae-Min stood and walked to the window. Outside, barely visible in the shadows, his security team was repositioning. Not the regular guards. These were men who'd been with him since the beginning. Men who'd bleed for him. They surrounded the house like a noose tightening. The dining room doors opened. Jae-Min turned, expecting Yura. Instead, Min-soo walked in, flanked by 2 armed men. Hello, cousin. Min-soo's smile was cruel. Enjoying your last meal? Jae-Min didn't move. I was wondering when you'd show your face. Oh, we're done pretending? Min-soo laughed. Good. I'm tired of acting like I respect you. You've been a placeholder, Jae-Min. A temporary king keeping the throne warm for someone who actually deserves it. And that's you. Obviously. You inherited this empire. I've earned my place in it. Every shipment you mismanaged. Every opportunity you missed because you were too cautious, too weak. The old families don't respect you. They tolerate you. But me. He spread his arms. They'll follow me. Yura entered behind him. And Jae-Min's last small hope died. She moved to Min-soo's side, her hand slipping into his with the ease of long practice. How long? Jae-Min asked her. Does it matter? Humor me. 18 months. No shame in her voice. We fell in love, Jae-Min. Real love. Not this cold business arrangement you call a marriage. Love. The word tasted like ash. You're killing me for love? We're killing you for freedom, Min-soo corrected. And for power. And because honestly, you've had your turn. Step aside gracefully, cousin. Make it easy on yourself. Jae-Min looked at his wife and cousin, seeing them clearly for the first time. 2 beautiful monsters, drunk on ambition and desire, convinced they'd won. You want to know something funny? Jae-Min said quietly. I would have let you go, Yura. If you'd asked for a divorce, I would have signed the papers. I don't love you. You don't love me. We could have ended this marriage and walked away clean. But then I wouldn't get the empire, she said. And Min-soo deserves it more than you. He deserves nothing. Min-soo's face darkened. He nodded to his men. Enough talking. Do it. The gunmen raised their weapons, and the dining room doors exploded inward. What followed happened in seconds but felt like hours. Armed men poured in, but not Min-soo's men. Jae-min's. Real security. Not the compromised guards Yura had bribed. Behind them, plainclothes officers from Internal Affairs. And behind them, 2 prosecutors from the Seoul District Court. Min-soo's gunmen barely had time to react before they were disarmed and on the ground. Min-soo himself went for his gun. But Jae-min was faster. His fist caught his cousin in the jaw, dropping him like a stone. "You thought you'd planned for everything?" Jae-min said, standing over Min-soo's bleeding form. "You bribed the local police, set up your cameras, bought your guns. But you forgot something crucial." "What?" Min-soo gasped. "I've been playing this game longer than you've been alive." Yura backed against the wall, all her elegance gone, replaced by animal panic. "Jae-min, wait. I can explain." "Don't." His voice cut like a blade. "I've heard enough of your lies." The lead prosecutor stepped forward. "Kwon Min-soo, you're under arrest for conspiracy to commit murder, bribery of public officials, and illegal weapons trafficking. Kwon Yura, you're under arrest for the same charges." As they read the rights, Min-soo started screaming. "You can't do this. I have protection. I have contacts." "Had," Jae-min corrected. "Past tense. Your contacts have been arrested. Your offshore accounts are frozen. Every person you bribed has been flipped. You have nothing." Yura didn't scream. She just stared at Jae-min with something like hatred, something like respect. "When did you know? Does it matter? Humor me. 10 days ago. Someone warned me. Someone you never even noticed because you were too busy looking at crowns to see the people actually holding up your throne." Understanding flickered in her eyes. "The maid. Someone who understood loyalty better than you ever will." As they dragged Min-soo and Yura away, his cousin kept screaming threats. Yura remained silent, her dignity intact even in handcuffs. At the door, she paused and looked back. "You know what the saddest part is, Jae-min? Tell me. I never hated you. You were just in the way." Then she was gone. The house fell silent. Prosecutors took statements. Crime scene technicians photographed everything. It would take hours to process it all. Jae-min walked out to the garden, needing air that didn't smell like betrayal. His second-in-command found him there. "Sir, we've secured the premises. The compromised guards have been removed. We found 3 more gunmen hidden in the house. All arrested." "Good. What about the evidence?" "Overwhelming. Recorded conversations. Financial transfers. Text messages between Yura and Min-soo detailing the entire plan. They'll both be in prison for the next 20 years minimum." "And the bribed officials?" 14 arrests so far. More coming." Jae-min nodded. "Justice, such as it was. Send bonuses to everyone involved. Double their usual rate." "Yes, sir." "And sir, there's something else." "What?" The maid rose. "She never left." Jae-min's heart stopped. "What do you mean she never left?" "She's in the kitchen. Refused to evacuate. Said, and I quote, 'If something happens to him, I'm not running away like a coward.'" Jae-min found himself moving before he could think. Through the house, past the crime scene, to the kitchen where Rose sat at the small table, still in her uniform, crying quietly. She looked up when he entered. "Sir, you're alive. You were supposed to leave." "I know. You could have been killed." "I know. Then why did you stay?" Rose stood, wiping her eyes. "Because you saved my life twice, sir. Once when your mother brought me here, and again when you tried to send me away tonight. I couldn't leave you to face that alone." Jae-min realized he was shaking. Not from fear or adrenaline. From something else. Something he hadn't felt in so long he'd forgotten the name for it. Relief. Gratitude. Connection. "You're the bravest person I've ever met," he said quietly. "I'm terrified, sir. Bravery isn't the absence of fear. It's moving forward despite it." They stood in the kitchen. 2 people who'd saved each other's lives, separated by social chasms, but connected by something deeper than either could name. What happens now? Rose asked. Now? Jae-Min looked around the mansion that suddenly felt less like a home and more like a museum of his past. Now I figure out what kind of man I want to be. The next morning, Jae-Min made 3 decisions. First, he dissolved the illegal portions of his empire. The gray market operations, the smuggling networks, the businesses built on violence and fear. He kept the legitimate holdings and let the rest go. Some of his people objected. Most understood. The king was abdicating part of his throne. Second, he set up a foundation in his mother's name. Its purpose: finding and helping victims of trafficking. Real help, legal assistance, medical care, job training. Everything his mother had done for Rose now systematized and expanded. Rose would run it if she wanted. She wanted. Third, he filed for divorce. The lawyers said it would be complicated, given Yura's imprisonment. Jae-Min didn't care. Let it take years. He wanted the legal fiction ended. The performance was over. For the first time in 20 years, Jae-Min Kwon felt something like peace. But peace came with a price. In cleaning house, he'd made enemies. Families who'd profited from his old operations now found themselves cut off. Rival bosses saw weakness in his partial withdrawal. Threats came weekly. Attacks came monthly. Jae-Min handled them all with the same cold efficiency he'd always used. He might have changed his business model, but he hadn't forgotten how to fight. Through it all, Rose remained. Not as a maid, as a friend, as the director of his mother's foundation, as the person who reminded him why he'd made these choices in the first place. They had dinner every Thursday. Not in the mansion's formal dining room. In the kitchen, like that first night. They talked about the foundation's work, about the women they'd helped, about the networks they'd disrupted. Real change, measurable and concrete. You know, Rose said one night, 6 months after Yura's arrest, people are talking. People always talk. They say you've gone soft, that you're not the same Kwon anymore. What do you think? She considered this. I think you're more yourself than you've ever been. Jae-Min smiled. Coming from her, that meant something. A year passed. The foundation helped 237 women. Yura and Min-soo's trial dominated headlines for weeks. Both were convicted. Yura got 18 years. Min-soo got 25. Jae-Min didn't attend the sentencing. There was nothing left to say. His legitimate businesses thrived. Turned out, when you removed the criminal overhead, profit margins improved dramatically. Who knew? He still had power. Still commanded respect. But it was different now. Earned through fair dealing instead of fear. Felt strange. Felt right. One Thursday, 2 years after that night, Rose didn't come to dinner. Jae-Min found a note in the kitchen instead. Her handwriting careful and precise. Sir, I saved your life once. You saved mine twice. We're even now. It's time for me to save myself by going home. I need to see my family. To remember where I came from. The foundation is in good hands. I'll be back someday. Thank you for showing me that powerful people can also be good people. Your mother would be proud of you. Rose. Jae-Min read it 3 times. Then he walked to the window and looked out at Seoul's glittering skyline. His city. His empire. Built on blood and money and choices he couldn't take back. But also built on second chances. On the small mercies his mother had taught him. On the courage of a woman who'd whispered 4 words that changed everything. For the first time in his entire life, Kwon Jae-Min felt genuinely alone. Not the loneliness of power. Not the isolation of fear. Just the simple ache of missing someone who'd mattered. It hurt, but it also felt like being alive. He pulled out his phone and made a call to his travel coordinator. I need information on flights to Lagos, Nigeria. Planning a trip, sir? Research. For now. He ended the call and looked at the note again. She'd said she'd be back someday. Maybe she would. Maybe she wouldn't. Either way, she'd already given him the greatest gift possible. She'd reminded him that he was more than his empire. More than his money. More than the fear in other people's eyes. She'd seen him as human. And in seeing him, she'd made him want to be human again. Jae-Min folded the note and put it in his pocket, next to his heart. Then he turned back to the city. His throne was smaller now. His empire was cleaner. His conscience was quieter. And somewhere in Nigeria, a woman who'd saved his life was finally going home. It wasn't a perfect ending. Real life never offered those. But it was honest. It was earned. And in a life built on lies and violence, honesty felt like the most radical choice of all. The king of Seoul's underworld stood alone in his mansion, missing someone for the first time in his life, and realized that maybe, just maybe, that was exactly what being human felt like. 3 months later, Jae-Min was in a board meeting when his assistant interrupted. Something she never did. She leaned close and whispered, "Sir, there's someone here to see you. She says you'll want to know." "Who?" She wouldn't give her name, but she said to tell you, "I came back." Jaemin's heart did something it hadn't done in years. Jumped. He excused himself from the meeting, ignoring the surprised looks from his executives, and walked to the lobby of his building. Rose stood by the window, wearing a yellow dress he'd never seen before, her hair different, longer, styled in a way that spoke of home and freedom. She looked healthier, happier, whole in a way she hadn't been when she left. "You came back," he said. "I told you I would. I thought it was just something people say." "I don't say things I don't mean, sir." "Jae-Min," he corrected. "Just Jae-Min." She smiled. "Jae-Min, then." They stood there, two people separated by everything society said mattered, connected by everything that actually did. Loyalty, courage, the simple gift of seeing each other clearly. "How was home?" he asked. "Beautiful, painful, necessary. I needed to see my family, to remember who I was before everything. But I also realized something while I was there." "What?" "Home isn't always a place. Sometimes it's a purpose. And the work we're doing here, the foundation, the women we're helping, that's my purpose now. That's where I belong." Jae-Min felt something crack open in his chest. Not breaking, opening. "The foundation has missed you. I've missed you. I missed you too." Around them, Seoul hummed with its usual chaos. Deals being made. Empires rising and falling. People climbing over each other for scraps of power. But in this moment, in this lobby, two people who'd saved each other stood in comfortable silence and understood something most people spent lifetimes searching for. Connection. Real, honest, uncomplicated connection. "Are you hungry?" Jae-Min asked. "There's a small restaurant near here. Nothing fancy. Just good food." "I'd like that." They walked out together into Seoul's afternoon sunlight, and for the first time since his mother died, Jae-Min Kwon felt something that had nothing to do with power or money or fear. He felt hope. The story of the Mafia boss and the maid who saved him didn't end with dramatic declarations or perfect resolutions. It ended the way real stories do, with two imperfect people choosing to move forward together, not because they had to, but because they wanted to. Yura remained in prison, her beauty wasted behind bars, her empire dreams reduced to a 6x8 cell. Min-soo spent his days in a different prison, his grand plans amounting to nothing but regret and rage. They'd chosen betrayal and lost everything. Jae-Min had chosen differently. He'd chosen mercy when he could have chosen murder. He'd chosen truth when he could have chosen silence. He'd chosen to see the humanity in someone the world had taught him to ignore. And that choice, that small act of seeing and being seen, had saved them both. If the story has kept you here until the very end, if it made you feel something, moved you, or made you think differently about loyalty, power, and human connection, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button. Drop a comment below and tell me what you thought. Which moment hit you hardest? Was it the whisper in the hallway? The betrayal at dinner? Or the quiet ending where two people chose hope over bitterness? I want to hear from you. And if you enjoyed this story, hit the like button. It helps more people find stories like this. Real stories about real choices and the complicated, beautiful, messy way human beings try to save each other. Because at the end of the day, that's what we all want. Isn't it? To be seen. To be saved. To matter to someone beyond what we can provide or produce. Jae-Min Kwon learned that lesson from a woman he'd walked past 1,000 times without seeing. And in finally seeing her, he learned to see himself. The most dangerous whisper isn't the one that warns you about death. It's the one that reminds you how to live. Thank you for watching. Subscribe for more stories that will keep you thinking long after they end. I'll see you in the next one.